Ladies, let me tell you something about men. We like to think we got it all figured out, right? Walking around, acting like we got the game in the bag. But let me tell you the truth. When a man hearts you, when he really truly starts to catch feelings, oh, we get confused real quick. And if you know what you're doing, you can keep him on his toes forever. Now, I ain't talking about playing games. No, no. This is about making him respect you, value you, and chase you the way he's supposed to. Men love a challenge. It's in their nature. From the time they're little boys, they're taught that anything worth having is worth working for. They chase, they hunt, they strategize. It's how they're wired. And that doesn't just apply to sports careers or ambitions, it applies to relationships too. A man values what he has to earn. If something comes too easily, he may enjoy it, he may appreciate it for a moment, but he won't cherish it. That's just facts. Now, when a woman makes herself too available, she unintentionally takes away the thrill of the chase. It's not that men don't want a woman who's present and loving, but they also want to feel like they're winning something special. Think about the things you've worked the hardest for in life, a job, a degree, a business. Whatever it is, the fact that you had to put in time, energy, and effort made you value it more. Men are the same way in relationships. When everything is handed to them without effort, it doesn't hold the same weight. A lot of women think being available all the time shows loyalty and love, but in reality, it can backfire. When you answer his calls every time on the first ring, when you drop everything to be with him, when you constantly rearrange your life to fit into his, you're sending a message that says, you don't have to work for something. And when a man doesn't have to work for something, he doesn't fully appreciate it. This doesn't mean you should play games or ignore him just to make a point. It means you should have a life that doesn't revolve around him. If he calls and you're free, great, talk to him. But if you're busy, be busy. Don't cancel your plans because he suddenly decided he wants to see you. If you always jump at his every request, he's going to assume you're always available. And when something is always available, it's not seen as exclusive or valuable. Think about it like this. If you walk into a store and see an expensive handbag displayed behind glass, only available in limited quantities, it immediately looks more desirable. But if that same bag was piled up in a bargain bin with a discount sticker on it, you'd think, well, I can get that anytime. That's how men's minds work. They chase what they think is rare, special, and hard to get. Some women worry that if they're not always available, the man will lose interest. But let me tell you something. If a man loses interest because you're living your life, he was never that interested to begin with. A man who truly wants you will make time. He will pursue you. He will figure out how to fit into your world. When you're busy chasing your own goals, spending time with your friends, handling your business, and taking care of yourself, you naturally become more attractive. A confident, independent woman who isn't always waiting around for a man to call or make a move, that's the kind of woman that keeps a man intrigued. He starts wondering what you're up to, why you're not always available, and that curiosity makes him want you more. The trick is balance. You don't need to be cold or distant, but you do need to show him that your world doesn't revolve around him. If he calls and you're genuinely free, enjoy the moment. But if you had plans, keep them. If he texts and you're in the middle of something, finish what you're doing before responding. These little things make a big difference because they teach a man that your time is valuable, and when something is valuable, it's treated with respect. Men respect what they have to work for. It's that simple. When they feel like they're investing their time, energy, and emotions into someone, they value that person more. But if everything is handed to them on a silver platter, they won't see the need to put in any effort. And the moment a man stops putting in effort, the relationship starts to lose its spark. So the next time you feel the urge to drop everything just to be available for a man, pause. Ask yourself if he's putting in the same energy. Ask yourself if he's truly valuing your time. Because the woman who keeps a man's interest isn't the one who's always there at his convenience. It's the one who knows her worth and makes him step up to meet her at her level. Standards are everything. They set the tone for how people treat you, what they expect from you, and most importantly, what you expect from yourself. In a relationship, a man will only rise to the level you set for him. If you have no standards, he'll do the bare minimum. If you have high standards, he'll either step up or step out. And either way, you win. A lot of women lower their standards because they're afraid of losing a man. They think, well, if I don't accept this, he might leave. But the truth is, if you have to lower your standards to keep him, he was never yours to begin with. A man who truly wants you will rise to meet your expectations. He may not get it right every time, but if he values you, he will put in the effort. The problem is that some women don't believe they're worthy of high standards. They settle for inconsistency, excuses, and half-hearted effort because they've convinced themselves that asking for more is too much. But let me tell you something. Men know when they're dealing with a woman who demands respect. They can feel it. It's in how she carries herself, how she speaks, how she reacts to nonsense. A woman with high standards doesn't have to say, I expect respect. She shows it in how she moves. When a man knows he can get away with last-minute plans, lazy effort, or broken promises, he won't stop. Not because he's a bad person, but because he's human. If someone lets you do the least amount of work for the same reward, wouldn't you take that route? But when he sees that you're not impressed by the minimum, that you require real effort, something shifts. He starts to think differently. He starts to act differently because now he realizes you're not like the rest. A man who truly wants you won't run from your standards. He'll respect them. He may test the waters at first, trying to see what he can get away with, but the moment he realizes that you stand firm on what you expect, he'll make a decision. Either he levels up or he moves on. And if he moves on, let him. You're not in the business of convincing a man to act right. One of the biggest mistakes women make is thinking they can change a man by accepting less and hoping he'll eventually give more. That's not how it works. The more you tolerate, the more he'll assume that's what you're okay with. If you let him disappear for days and come back with weak excuses, he'll keep doing it. If you let him get away with disrespect, the disrespect will continue. But if you make it clear through your actions, not just your words, that you don't entertain inconsistency, he'll either correct his behavior or remove himself. Either way, you don't lose. High standards don't mean being unrealistic or demanding perfection. It means knowing your worth and not allowing anyone to treat you like you're average. It means expecting consistency, honesty, effort, and respect. It means not settling for a man who only shows up when it's convenient for him. Some women think having high standards will scare men away, and it will. It'll scare away the ones who were never serious about you. But the right man, the one who actually wants something real, he won't run. He'll step up. He'll respect the fact that you're not easily impressed, that you're not desperate for attention, that you value yourself enough to say no to anything that doesn't serve you. When you keep your standards high, you weed out the ones who were never going to treat you right. You make space for the man who actually wants to meet your expectations, not because he has to, but because he sees the value in doing so. And when you finally find a man who doesn't just meet your standards, but exceeds them, you'll realize that keeping them high was never about making it harder for men. It was about making it easier for you to recognize the right one when he comes along. Love is a beautiful thing, but too often women make the mistake of giving so much of themselves to a man that they lose sight of who they are. It starts small. You adjust your schedule to fit his. You put his needs ahead of yours. You make him the center of your world, thinking that's what love is supposed to be. And at first, it feels good. You feel connected, needed, and appreciated. But over time, something shifts. You start noticing that the more you give, the less he does. The more available you are, the less he values your presence. Men don't fall in love because a woman gives up everything for them. They fall in love with a woman who has a life, who has goals, who has something going for herself outside of him. That's the kind of woman who keeps a man intrigued. She's not waiting around for his text. She's not rearranging her entire life just to accommodate his. She has things to do, places to be, people to see, and because of that, when she does give him her time, he appreciates it more. It's easy to think that the way to keep a man is by making yourself indispensable to him. You cook for him, clean for him, support him, listen to all his problems, and put his happiness above your own. You pour everything into him, hoping that if you give enough, he'll never leave. But that's not how it works. When a man sees that you're willing to sacrifice everything for him, he doesn't admire it, he takes it for granted. Not because he's a bad person, but because you've shown him that you'll always be there no matter how. A woman who knows how to love without losing herself operates differently. She understands that love is about balance. She can be supportive without being a crutch. She can be there for him without abandoning herself. She can give without depleting her own energy. She has her own passions, her own friendships, her own ambitions. She doesn't stop being who she was before she met him, and that's what makes her so magnetic. When a man sees that a woman loves him but still prioritizes herself, he respects her differently. He understands that he's a part of her life, not the whole of it. He sees that she has standards not just for him, but for herself. She's not just asking him to be great, she's actively working on being great too. That energy is powerful. It makes a man step up. It makes him put in more effort because he knows that she won't settle for anything less. A woman who doesn't lose herself in a relationship is confident. She doesn't seek validation from a man because she already knows her worth. She enjoys his company, but she doesn't need it to feel complete. And that right there is what keeps a man intrigued. Men are drawn to women who have their own thing going on. They respect women who can love them deeply without losing themselves in the process. The women who get hurt the most in relationships are the ones who forget themselves. They pour everything into a man and leave nothing for themselves. And when he leaves, they feel empty, lost, and broken because they gave away pieces of themselves that they never should have given. Love should add to your life, not take away from it. A relationship should be a partnership, not a sacrifice of your identity. When a woman holds on to herself while loving a man, she creates a dynamic where he has to continuously invest in her. He has to keep working to earn her love, her time, and her attention. Because she's not just giving it away for free. She understands that her presence is valuable. She moves in a way that lets him know she's a prize, not an option. She's not afraid to walk away if her needs aren't met because she knows that losing herself is far worse than losing a man. A man who truly loves a woman wants to see her happy, not just because of him, but because she's living a full and meaningful life. He wants to be a part of that life, not the sole reason for it. And when a woman loves herself first, she naturally attracts the kind of man who will love her the right way. Time is one of the most valuable things a person has. It's something you can never get back, something you can never replace. And the way you allow a man to spend your time will determine how he values you. If you give it away freely, if you always make yourself available whenever he calls, he will start to see you as an option rather than a priority. But when you make him work for your time, when you show him that your schedule, your plans, and your priorities come first, he will quickly learn that your presence is something he has to earn. Men respect what they have to put effort into. It's in their nature. They appreciate things they work for, and they take for granted the things that come too easily. When a man sees that you have a life outside of him, when he knows that you won't drop everything just because he suddenly decided he wants to see you, he starts to understand that your time is valuable. He begins to see that if he wants access to you, a lot of women make the mistake of always being available, thinking that if they say yes to every invitation, answer every late night text, or dropped everything to be with him, he will appreciate them more. But the opposite happens. The more available you are, the less he values your time. It's not that he's a bad person, but when something is too accessible, it starts to lose its appeal. The women who keep a man's interest are the ones who make him plan ahead. If he texts last minute wanting to see you and you're already busy, don't cancel your plans. Let him know you're unavailable and that he should plan ahead next time. This sends a clear message that your time is important, that you don't just sit around waiting for him to call. And trust me, the next time he wants to see you, he'll think twice before assuming you'll just be there at his convenience. When a man has to work for your time, he values it more. He starts making real plans, setting real dates, and showing real effort. He knows that if he wants to be with you, he has to put in the work, and that's what creates a dynamic where he continues to pursue you, continues to invest in you, and continues to see you as someone worth the effort. Some women worry that if they don't always say yes, the man will lose interest. But here's the truth. If a man loses interest because you have a life, because you have standards, because you don't just drop everything for him, then he was never that interested to begin with. A man who truly wants you will step up. He will make the effort because he sees you as a prize, not just an option. Men need to feel like they are earning something. It's what keeps them engaged, what keeps them invested. If you make it too easy, if you're always available with no challenge, no mystery, no sense of exclusivity, then he won't feel the need to put in the effort. But when he has to work for your time, when he has to prove that he deserves it, he sees you differently. This doesn't mean you should play games or act distant just for the sake of it. It means you should genuinely have a life that excites you outside of him. You should be busy building your career, spending time with friends, working on your passions, and doing things that make you happy. And when he sees that you're fulfilled on your own, that your life doesn't revolve around him, he will want to be part of that world even more. The key is balance. You don't need to ignore him or act uninterested, but you do need to set a standard that says, if you want my time, you need to show me that you deserve it. The moment a man realizes that your time is something he has to earn, he will treat it with more respect, And a man who respects your time will always be willing to put in the effort to keep you in his life. Men are wired to love mystery. They are drawn to what they don't fully understand, to what challenges them, to what keeps them on their toes. When everything about you is predictable, when he knows exactly what you're going to say, how you're going to react, and what you're going to do, he stops being excited. He stops feeling the need to put in effort because he already knows the outcome. But when you keep a man guessing, when you stay unpredictable in a way that keeps him intrigued, you keep his attention without even trying. A lot of women make the mistake of being too predictable in relationships. They follow a routine, respond the same way every time, and make their emotions and reactions obvious. They think that being consistent in everything will make a man feel secure, but what actually happens is that he starts to take them for granted. He knows she's always going to say yes when he calls, always going to be available when he needs her, always going to react the same way when he does something wrong. And once a man knows exactly how you operate, he stops working for your attention. The key to keeping a man engaged is to introduce an element of surprise. Not in a way that plays games or confuses him for no reason, but in a way that makes him feel like there's always something new to learn about you. Maybe one day you text him first and show excitement, and the next day you're a little more reserved. Maybe sometimes you're affectionate and warm, and other times you focus on yourself and your goals. Maybe he's used to you always saying yes, so one day you tell him you're busy and stick to it. These little changes keep him intrigued because they force him to stay engaged, to pay attention, to actually work to figure you out. Men love a challenge. They don't want something that's too easy, too predictable, too routine. They want to feel like they're constantly discovering something new, like there's always another layer to you. And the moment a man feels like he knows everything about you, like he has you completely figured out, that's when he starts to lose interest. Not because he doesn't care, but because there's nothing left to chase. Women who keep a man's attention long term are the ones who know how to balance stability with excitement. They know how to make a man feel secure while still keeping a sense of adventure in the relationship. They don't do the same thing every day. They don't always respond the way he expects. And they don't allow the relationship to become stale. They keep him engaged by being themselves, but also by evolving, growing, and showing new sides of their personality. When you're unpredictable in a positive way, you make a man feel like he constantly has to work to earn your attention. He doesn't get to assume that just because you love him, you'll always be there no matter what. He understands that if he wants to keep you, he has to continue to put in effort, to show up, to bring value to the relationship, and that's what keeps the dynamic strong. The easiest way to bring unpredictability into a relationship is to focus on yourself first. When you are constantly growing, learning new things, and pursuing your own goals, you naturally become more interesting. You have things to talk about, experiences to share, and energy that draws people in. A man who sees that you are always evolving will always be excited to be around you because he knows that there's always something new to discover. Another way to keep him intrigued is to switch up your routine. If he's used to you always texting him first, let him be the one to reach out. If he's used to date nights always being the same, suggest something completely different. If he expects you to always react a certain way, surprise him by handling situations with a fresh perspective. These little things make a big difference because they keep him engaged, keep him guessing, and keep him wanting more. The women who men never forget are the ones who know how to mix things up, who keep life exciting, who don't let the relationship fall into a dull routine. They understand that men are most drawn to women who challenge them in the best way possible, not by playing games, but by being dynamic, by growing, by keeping things fresh. A man who is constantly discovering new things about you will never get bored because he knows that with you, there will always be something more to look forward to. Men respond to respect. It's one of the most powerful forces in a relationship. When a man feels respected, he moves differently. He treats you better, listens more, and puts in the effort to keep you happy. But respect isn't just about what you say to him. It's about how you carry yourself, how you demand to be treated, and how you enforce your boundaries. A woman who commands respect from a man doesn't have to beg for it. She sets the tone through her actions, and he follows suit. Respect starts with how you allow a man to treat you. If you accept inconsistency, he'll assume you're okay with it. If you tolerate disrespect, he'll think it's not a big deal. But if you make it clear from the start that certain things are unacceptable, he will either adjust or remove himself from the situation. And if he chooses to leave rather than respect your standards, then he was never meant for you in the first place. A woman who commands respect isn't loud about it. She just moves differently. She doesn't chase a man who is pulling away. She doesn't stay in situations that make her feel unappreciated. She doesn't entertain half-hearted effort. When a man sees that you respect yourself, he naturally begins to respect you more. And if he doesn't, he quickly learns that he won't have access to you. One of the biggest ways to make a man respect you is through consistency. A lot of people set boundaries, but they don't actually enforce them. They say they won't tolerate certain behaviors, but when those behaviors happen, they make excuses, let it slide, and hope things will change. But respect isn't given to people who constantly go back on their word. If you say you won't tolerate something, you have to mean it. A man will test your boundaries, whether he realizes it or not. He will push to see how serious you are. And the moment you backtrack on what you said, he loses a little bit of respect for you. Another key to earning respect is knowing when to walk away. Nothing makes a man see your value more than realizing he could lose you. When a woman is willing to leave a situation that doesn't serve her, it forces a man to step up or step out. And in that moment, he has to decide if he's willing to change or if he's going to let you go. A man who truly cares about you will make adjustments because he won't want to lose you. But if he doesn't, then leaving was the best decision you could have made. Men don't respect women who beg, who plead, who try to convince them to act right. They respect women who say what they mean and mean what they say. Women who hold themselves to a higher standard. Women who aren't afraid to be alone rather than accept less than they deserve. That kind of confidence, that kind of self-respect is what makes a man value you on a different level. Respect isn't just about what you demand from a man. It's also about what you give. A man who feels respected by his woman will move mountains for her. He will naturally want to be better, to do better, because he feels valued. But respect has to be mutual. You can't demand it from him without also showing it in return. And when both people in a relationship feel genuinely respected, that's when love has the strongest foundation.